With our interview pad in place and the Tacticam Reveal X Pro cellular trail camera hidden in the brush, Grant and I were ready for our grand conclusion, and to finally discover why this artist was stockpiling piss bottles on the electrical box. That night felt like a piss-induced Christmas Eve. It was impossible to sleep knowing that I'd likely wake up in the morning with an answer to a question that had been haunting me and my neighborhood for the past several years. But instead of presents, I woke up to 0 notifications from my Tacticam Reveal X Pro cellular trail camera. This was very unusual, especially since its field of view was centered on a high-traffic zone with constant cars passing by. So I drove to the location and suited up for a quick check-in, and I was pleasantly surprised to see that the bottles were back. The artist had struck, but when I scaled the wall for a closer look, I was met with extreme disappointment. The interview pad had been untouched. Nothing. And even worse, the piss culprit stole my Tacticam Reveal X Pro cellular trail camera. I had been blindsided. Our interview pad must have been too jarring, leading him to check his surroundings and discover our prying eye. This was a huge pain, not just because he was now aware of us, but because I had spent countless hours researching, setting up, and troubleshooting trail cameras, and now mine was gone. Fortunately, the Tacticam Reveal X Pro cellular trail camera had built-in GPS, and if you were ever to turn it on, it would automatically ping my phone with a check-in photo as well as precise latitude and longitude coordinates. Though when I took a closer look at the fresh batch, I did notice something unusual. A message written on one of the bottles. This was very concerning, but didn't necessarily provide any motive as to why he was doing this. As the days passed, there were no updates and no additional bottles. The usual piss-infested electrical box had now transformed into a normal-infested electrical box. A once iconic staple in the neighborhood was just now another gray eyesore on the side of the road. It had lost its pizzazz. Was my intrigue responsible for scaring off a budding street artist? I was starting to understand the sentiment of how you never really appreciate true art until it's gone. Meanwhile, online, the piss heads were frothing for more content, demanding updates to our investigation. Pressure was building, and I wanted to deliver, but it would be impossible to do if the piss bandit was gone. Then one evening, my phone was alerted. My stolen Tacticam Reveal X Pro cellular trail camera sent a check-in photo of an image of a couple vehicles parked alongside a road with what appeared to be the ocean in the background. This was puzzling because the ocean is extremely far from where the electrical box is located, 20 miles to be exact, which is a 2.5-hour commute. Sadly, the culprit didn't have the device turned on long enough for it to send me GPS coordinates. A couple days later, I was alerted again, this time with a beautiful scenic photo of a grandiose cliff overlooking the ocean. Thankfully, I was sent the exact GPS coordinates, which I immediately plugged into Google Maps. Sunset Cliffs, San Diego, California. A popular, affluent coastal community known for its hiking trails, surf spots, and sunset views. This was far, 126 miles to be exact, which is also a 2.5-hour commute. The culprit had either taken a vacation down south, sparking up a newfound love for scenic photography, or he was toying with us. My gut instinct was that he had moved on, replacing his abstract art with something a bit more traditional. But that following Tuesday morning, I was proven wrong. He had struck, breaking his nearly 2-week-long dormancy. But again, our interview pad remained answerless. He was a devoted artist who worked late nights and went to great lengths to conceal his identity. Of course, he didn't want to answer a bunch of questions about his process. We had to keep it simple, so we replaced the interview pad with an interview dry erase board, this time with only one question, which he again ignored while hitting the electrical box with a record-setting motherlode drop, 1 gallon of piss. The artist was back, and more prolific than ever, and our unsuccessful attempts at an interview left Grant and I feeling cornered and out of moves. We feared that the worst was coming to fruition, an inevitable checkmate.